Thank you so much for everyone being here today and taking the time. And I'm hoping that everyone is very curious about today's topic. Today, we have a community event hosted by 25100. My name is Leander Gansert. I am based in Athens in Greece right now. And I am super grateful to be hosting today's call or a live event. And we will be talking to experts in the field of blockchain, the metaverse, and the development for social impact and sustainable development. We will be discussing insights on how technologies can support innovations and activities towards a greener and an impact economy, all right? And we actually do have the honor that one of the main reasons why we are doing this actual live event today is that we have the Garden of Life Dubai here with us. And this is a very exciting, innovative development project in building one of the largest and biggest educational parks and innovation centers for future energies physically, but the cool thing also virtually in the metaverse. And it is actually giving us a great example of a real life tangible project that will conclude all these buzzwords, including also social impact in their mission. And today we actually do have 4 amazing individuals with us who are deeply involved in the project itself, but are also experts in their area. And I would like to welcome everyone. Mohammed Bitar, we have Misha, we have Marva Al-Manzouri, and Ronnie Tome today. And to give you a little bit of an introduction, to all these 4 people here today who are experts again in their field. We have first Mohammed Bitar, who's the founder and CEO, or how he likes to actually say, Chief Everything Officer at Wix, a digital marketing and paid advertising agency. Wix endeavors to be part of every brand's digital journey. And Mohammed found his passion for digital work at a very young age, always knowing that it would be the way forward. With his perseverance, he paved the way to the birth of Wix. All clients are partners, and they are all part of the Wix family, the Garden of Life being one of them. Another reason for Mohammed to be here today and drawn to the Garden of Life is his knowledge and know-how on the NFT space, which we're going to learn a lot more on today's session. So thank you so much, Mohammed, being here. And I can't wait to hear and learn from you, especially.
With pleasure, looking forward to it. Thank you very much for having me.
Wonderful. Where are you joining us today from?
From Dubai. In the office, actually.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
All right. So we actually have someone playing around on their screen here, I see, on the actual live call. So I'd like to ask everyone to please turn that off. Thank you very much. Second, we actually have Misha Hanin. Misha is a trusted technology advisor and senior enterprise IT architect with more than 25 years of experience in the field of information technology, infrastructure analysis, and design, implementing innovative and leading technologies for international companies around the globe in the public, but also in the private sector. With his immense background in technology, he shares his knowledge worldwide at conferences and lectures. With one of his companies called Bedu, he's a pioneering blockchain firm specializing in building a new technology-driven world. He is involved with the Garden of Life, focusing especially on the metaverse that we will serve as one of the main platforms to engage with the future community of the Garden of Life Dubai. So thank you so much, Misha, for being here today. I think you're going to be a great contributor to today's conversation. And you are involved in a topic that a lot of people are very new to. And I think we can learn a lot from you today.
I think he muted himself, so you need to unmute him.
Yes,
the host unmute him.
I will. Misha, you are muted.
Happened, but he can't unmute himself.
So
there you go.
Sorry. Thank you for having me here today. And what I said, I'll do my best to explain and answer any possible questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. And I've actually had the pleasure to be in Dubai with you in person before. And I'm very much looking forward to today's conversation. All right. Third up, we do have Marva Al-Mansouri today. She's a visionary and an influential leader within economics on sustainability. She's now today the CEO of the Garden of Life and is the leading force in establishing the growth of the company on a world stage. She's also the co-founder of the United Women Network, the first platform to be launched on the Abraham Accords to pursue cross-country economic partnerships and the advancements of women economic empowerment. With this said, she's a great role model for women empowerment, especially in the Middle East, which is also one of the core values of the Garden of Life, Dubai. So thank you so much. And we are so happy that you're here today. And it's an honor to be able to speaking to the leading force behind this great movement.
Thank you, Leander. It's my pleasure, honestly. And I thank all the attendees and all the partners involved in this.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. And last but not least, Ronnie Tome. Thank you so much for being here. He's actually the co-founder and CEO of Ducatos Group of the businesses, and he is behind the launch of the commercially driven cryptocurrency, the Ducatos coin, that have developed their own blockchain, and they will also play a key role in building the Garden of Life Dubai. Ronnie brings a lot of experience as a serial entrepreneur with a vast background in marketing, sales, and real estate, and now is fully focused on Ducatos. Ducatos is dedicated to seeing a cryptocurrency gain a more mainstream embrace and be used in all life transactions, from buying a coffee to buying even a house, aiming towards a world operating almost on a cashless basis, using cryptocurrencies on a daily basis. So thank you so much for being here, and an honor as well. And I believe, your background is so vast, and the topic that you're in today could not be more exciting. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Leander. It's a pleasure and an honor, and I look forward to our discussion that we're going to have today.
Wonderful. Very good. All right. As we have learned at the very beginning of our talk in the chat, we have a lot of diversity in our audience, especially when it comes to the knowledge on today's topic. And therefore, we will actually break down at the very beginning a few things that will hopefully help everyone understand further on the conversations. So we will be breaking down, especially, and providing an overview of what the metaverse and blockchain technology means, but especially how this can play a role in social impact. And as social impact is actually one of the main mottos of today's call, we would like to get into that. And Marva, as being the CEO of Garden of Life Dubai, I'd love to understand what is real social impact for you and how would you define this?
Thank you, Leander, for that question. See, I think honestly, social impact can be defined by actions of every individual. There is not really a definition of social impact. However, there is an action of every individual that's responsible, whether it's negative or positive. So as us, we need to work together and educate people who would want to find the right balance. And this is really important, which is the right balance between positive change and personal motives.
Thank you very much. I mean, I think, yes, it does come down in the end of the day to your personal actions, right? But I think in the end of the day, what we're doing as well here is building a social impact economy with building responsible businesses, right? And Garden of Life Dubai is a great example for this, which you are leading in a very good way.
Thank you very much.
I mean, when it comes to cryptocurrencies is something that everyone by now has heard about, but there's still a lot of people who don't understand it, right? So Ronnie, especially you starting this own company that is actually in this space, maybe you could tell everyone a little bit more what actually is cryptocurrency, and especially how can it be correlated with social impact as well?
Sure, I'll try my best to keep this simple. First of all, important to understand is that crypto and blockchain is not my background. As you said earlier, I was an entrepreneur. I still am an entrepreneur, and I got into cryptocurrencies in 2014. What people need to understand, cryptocurrencies is an application on a much bigger technology, which is called the blockchain. And the blockchain is a digital ledger of transactions that is duplicated and distributed across an entire network of computer systems. Now, this blockchain can be centralized or decentralized. The most popular application, obviously, is a cryptocurrency, and the mother of all cryptocurrencies, the first one that became popular is and was Bitcoin. But there are obviously a lot more applications possible, and I believe that those will play a major role in the future when it comes to the integration of blockchain into pretty much every industry over the next few years, and it will be very disrupting for especially the financial industry and other industries as well. And what role can it play for social impact? I think one of the most or some of the important aspects of blockchain is that it's transparent. You can't cheat. And in order to give credibility and accountability to social impact investments, to donations, to charity work also, I think it's just important to give this, or to focus on this aspect of the blockchain, that people can trust the ledger that is behind it, that it's all accounted for, that it's transparent, and that there is no hanky-panky going on when it comes to the monies that are going into social impact investments.
Understood. I mean, blockchain technology seems to be the secret ingredient for all of this, right? And the backbone in order to make all of these things work. Another thing that a lot of people hear about is the NFTs, right? And actually, Misha, maybe you could answer this. When it comes to NFTs, first of all, does it have anything to do also with blockchain technology? And in the end of the day, what is an NFT?
So I would start with like NFT and blockchain. So technically, yes, NFT is running on the blockchain, is leveraging blockchain for sure. Okay, so it's an amazing combination of something that actually exist, I would say, probably for thousands of years, but got adoption, wide adoption because of the technology right now. What is NFT? NFT, we can simplify it in a really in a way just by saying it's a certificate of ownership. So for last at least 2000 years, people had some documents that were proving that they own something. It could be whatever land, it could be the property, it could be a ship, doesn't matter, like a certificate of ownership.
Mhm.
But back in the days, it was quite easy to fake those certificates of ownership. And now, fast forward to nowadays, with the blockchain and the technology that blockchain brings to the world, we can issue those certificate of ownership on the blockchain with a guarantee that this is not fake certificate. Okay, so this is in really, really simple terms. So yes, NFT is leveraging blockchain for sure. Okay, so it's it cannot work without blockchain. What kind of blockchain? Like we can talk about this probably for hours or days. And, we can use many blockchains to do that. But probably the most popular right now is Ethereum blockchain, where we're running NFTs.
All right, so we're learning that there's many different possibilities on where you can on blockchain technologies and solutions. And this is something that we will also come back later one more time, especially what the Garden of Life Dubai will be using as well, right? When it comes to NFTs, Mohammed, what has been your experience? Because you've been also in the space quite a lot, right? What do NFTs mean to you, and how has it been affecting your work especially, and how have you been engaging with it, and why do you think it is so special?
Of course, man. Thanks for the question. So basically, just taking a step back, because based on the question that you asked earlier, there's a lot of users right now in the audience that actually have scaled from below 5 when it comes to the knowledge behind the technology and NFTs and crypto and what have you. So I'm going to make it as really simple as possible, not go into the technical aspect. NFTs are not monkeys or bunnies or apes. This is just to start with. I know that this is the perception that most of the users or the internet visitors have a misconception or a perception, but the reality is this whole innovation of NFTs is basically two main things. You have now the power of claiming ownership of any digital asset. By this, I mean that you can claim ownership of an image, you can claim ownership of a video. Even right now, if you actually take a picture with your phone, prove that you own it. You can say, yeah, I've taken using my phone, but where can I? Now there's a step to actually take a step further to really prove that you actually own that piece of asset in the online world. And yes, you get a lot of feedback of saying, you know what, I'll just take a screenshot of it and now I have a copy of it. Yes, I can actually go to the Mona Lisa and actually take a picture of it and claim that I have it. I can take a picture while sitting on a Ferrari and claim that I have it. So all this is going to change really, really soon. And because with the blockchain, with the technology, we're now able to claim ownership, which is one of the most fundamental importance of NFT. And you're also able to see the history of this asset. So the amount of time that I've actually bought the item that I traded, whatever I did with this piece of item, I can now actually show publicly the history of this transaction. That's where it's a huge innovation in the web world, because you cannot imagine how, and I'm talking from more on the positive side of the business. You cannot believe how helpful that approach will make all of our lives easier. And because you're talking about now claiming ownership, we're talking about fraud, trying to reduce as much fraud as possible. The value of many things can be done via the NFTs. And some real life examples could be contracts, agreements. You can actually all make it digital. And that's where the pure value of NFT comes in. And why would I own an NFT? It's basically the same question I would ask you. Why would you invest in property? Why would you actually invest in a car? It's actually now an asset that you can actually invest in, because if you actually invest in the right way, these are assets that will actually have value on the long run, depending, of course, of who's the team behind it, who's developing the NFT. So it is a sort of investment that you can actually do. And it's a legitimate one because it's all public. It's not, there's nothing to hide. You know, it's all there. If it's a fraud, you'll be able to know if it's a fraud. So then that's kind of where I would define NFT. But the technical definition is pretty much just a non-fungible token, which is you cannot replace it. You know, it's irreplaceable and you cannot duplicate the original copy of it.
Wonderful. I think you did answer a very important question, because what I get a lot of questions is always like, you know, I can take a picture of an NFT and then I also have it at home, right? So I think you explaining it also what has to do with the blockchain technology and being able to claim ownership on these NFTs is so important for everyone to understand. And there's nothing that you can actually fake about it. It's very transparent. And I think that actually adds to social impact in the end of the day, right? Because there's so many things happening in the background that people don't know in the world. And actually people wish for a more transparent world and to be able to understand and access all sorts of knowledge. So when talking about social impact, right? Marva, you actually touched on it at the very beginning, but is it possible for you to give a real life example of a social impact project?
Of course.
Sure, yeah.
Marva, go ahead.
Perfect. So, so basically there's a lot of, you know, social impact projects, but I'd like to, you know, concentrate on the few examples of social impact initiatives that can be adapted to solid practices, or you can call it even TOC, the theory of change, which is a blueprint you create that would have a solid ground for any positive impact projects. However, the fuel is finding solutions for global challenges, right? If you revisit this question, Leander, and say, what is the best project? I cannot really answer that, but what is the best country that has been adapting to this practice? I'd love to share this example. See, the UAE is made up of 7 cities, and the 7 cities agreed in one thing, which is social responsibilities. Whether it's private sectors, government, or individuals, we are all responsible of our communities. So the main example of this year was, I'm sure a lot of people heard of it, is the 1 billion meal campaign, which is the largest humanitarian initiative of its kind in this part of the world. It was launched by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, which is, of course, providing essential meals to needy communities, women, children, refugees, and victims of natural disasters in 50 countries. So can you imagine 320,000 individual and corporates donated meals, which reached about to 600 million meals, and the 400 million was personally donated by His Highness to empower individuals and countries all around the world. To take part of this practice, it's empowering of good deeds and, of course, global initiative for good causes. And just a statement, it is, together we can make the impossible possible by, of course, using positive impact and positive partnerships.
I mean, as you were saying, the UAE is being a real life example of a lot of things happening right now. And that is also, I believe, one of the reasons why the Garden of Life has been situated in Dubai, which is a very exciting location to make something like that happen, especially a place where innovation doesn't have an end and is being powered by every entity possible. We will come back a little bit more to the Garden of Life also in Dubai, of course, in a minute, and how the Garden of Life Dubai intends to interact and contribute to social change and impact, right? But I believe before we go to this stage, there's one more thing that we need to clear up, which is the question of the metaverse, because we have covered now blockchain technology, we have covered cryptocurrencies, right? And also NFTs. But now the last thing that I believe as a basic understanding for the audience is important is, what is the metaverse? Everyone has a little bit of an idea, but Misha, I believe you are the guy to talk to when it comes to this, as you have a lot of experience in doing and interacting things with this, as you are one of your companies especially is focused on this as well. Maybe you could share a few words about what is the metaverse in a simple, understandable way.
You know what? I would probably say right away what metaverse is not. Okay.
Okay.
Because I hear a lot of comments that, oh, metaverse, it's some virtual world, looks like a game, and this is just another game. Okay. So my response always about that this is not a game. Game by itself can be shut it down. Like if you don't like the game, or somebody creates the game that you want to use, and if tomorrow the company decides to shut down the project, they're just shutting it down, and you're losing access to the game. Internet nowadays, we're almost unable to shut it down. Okay, the internet is always on and available everywhere. So the way I see metaverse, it's actually the outcome of the combination of every technology that human managed to develop up until now. And like when I say combination, yes, we have a lot of things that we developed back in the days when we were crafting virtual games. A lot of technology that we're leveraging inside the metaverse that was crafted for e-commerce systems, internet technology, everything around it. Okay, so social communication, all that stuff. Nowadays, we actually taking and combining inside the metaverse, and yes, it looks and it gives some feelings that when you're inside the metaverse, you're in some sort of virtual world. But I see it much bigger than just a virtual world. It's the environment that has technically no limits, and something that accelerates the speed of consumption of information, speed of communication, speed of everything, speed of studying. Nowadays, like by leveraging metaverse and by leveraging technology that part of this metaverse, I would say we're stepping up as humans, at least in like, you know, every step, it's, I would say like 10 years. So anything that we do inside metaverse pushes us as humans, at least by 10 years into the future, right away. Okay, so this is what I see as a metaverse. It's not just some sort of a virtual game or virtual world. It's a combination of all the achievements that we ever did.
So it's actually what you're saying is also it provides a complete new universe of opportunities in the end of the day, right? And enabling especially people to coming together, for example, as you mentioned, studying, for example. We have so many people in the world, for example, who don't have access to university or a proper education and things, and you could use this as one example, right, in order to connect all over the world into one room, by just having certain stations around the world where people can come to and study from their origin, but are together in the actual metaverse, learning and educating themselves. And I actually myself, I work with an international team, for example, and these Zoom calls like we're on today, right? They're just not enough anymore, especially over the past couple of years now, and everyone being so used to it. I think we do need to anyway step up the game in actually coming together virtually. So there is this human connection, because we are we are definitely starting to miss this. So thank you so much.
Well,
and we're going to get
we're
into
actually internally right now in our company, all our corporate meetings we do inside the metaverse. Okay, and we're a team that distributed across the globe. We have people right now in Canada, we have people in US, in Germany, in Portuguese, in Cyprus, in Dubai. And whenever we run the corporate meeting, we run it nowadays in a metaverse. We get sick from Zoom, to be honest.
And do you feel the difference?
Different dynamics. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Big time.
That is amazing.
Yeah, just one example, right?
Right, definitely. And I could imagine, like, because for example, myself, I've never been in the metaverse, right? I would really want to in the future, for sure. To experience it, at least for the first time, is going to be an exciting thing. So I'm very much looking forward to this experience, and hope that what you just said is also true to myself. And hope to use this somewhat in my own personal life, or also work life, of course, right? Let's due to timing, let's also now slowly get into actually the topic and the real life example that is actually an accelerator and a physical but also a digital place that enables and educates people for positive change, which is the Garden of Life Dubai. And actually, one of the things that we did not mention at the very beginning, Ronnie is one of the founders back in the days of the Garden of Life Dubai. And I would love to learn a bit, how did even the idea start of the Garden of Life Dubai, and how did you get to this?
Yes, I've been living in Asia, in Bali to be precise, for the last 26 years. Now I live in Dubai. But the idea of the Garden of Life actually started in Bali. Me and my partner Mario bought a beautiful piece of land at the center of Bali, and actually came up with the concept many years ago to give back to the island that has been very good to us, to the people of Bali that we came to appreciate and love, and also to see how modern tourism and commercialization of places have changed the place. And we wanted to create a project that helps to preserve the beauty, the culture, the heritage of Bali, and hence created the Garden of Life, which at that time meant to be a pure social impact investment, where we are creating the garden as an educational entertainment park, teaching people about the problems, the challenges that Bali as an island destination faces in today's world, but also giving solutions with the help of technology, with the help of people that hold Bali dear to their hearts. We formed partnerships with NGOs, with charity organizations on the island, and we started to develop the concept over a number of years, and decided at that time that, if Bali needs this kind of project, there are surely other places, other regions in the world that need a Garden of Life as a place where people come together, community driven, for various kinds of reasons. And we decided that we wanted to create a global concept with 5 Garden of Lives, being, when you look at the global map, one's in the center, one in the east, one in the west, one in the north, and one in the south. And the one in the center was meant to be Dubai. Now, Dubai was always supposed to be the second Garden of Life on our roadmap, Bali the first, but then came COVID. Then I moved from Asia to Dubai, and given the current dynamics in this region, we then decided it would make a lot more sense to basically Dubai as the first Garden of Life, and with the success of Dubai then being able to branch out and to finance the other four, Bali then being the second. So that's how it started. And obviously now being also the founder and very much involved into the whole blockchain game and cryptocurrencies, it felt very natural to integrate blockchain and cryptocurrency into the Garden of Life concept. At that time, nobody was talking about the metaverse. The metaverse is quite a new thing. And one thing that we pride ourselves with is that we keep our concepts flexible, and we're trying to see trends when they happen and being able to react. And hence, over the last couple of months, we also decided that with everything that's going on in the digital space, that the Garden of Life also needs to be in the metaverse.
All right, very good. I mean, it's very exciting to hear that there's the plan actually that the Garden of Life is not just strictly only bound to Dubai, right? That there is actually a bigger plan for a bigger movement that will happen all over the world, covering hopefully all continents in the world. And be able to create their own bubbles wherever they are of social impact, of course. You said in Bali, it was the idea to be able to also give back to the local community the things that they have given to you, right? Maybe Marva actually, as one of the as the CEO right now, what was why launch Garden of Life Dubai and not, for example, somewhere else in the Middle East? Was there a specific reason? And is it also giving back to the community there, or what is the actual reason?
So Leander, I do believe in law of attraction in that sense. So let's say myself and Garden of Life found each other. So Garden of Life, or Gold, as we call it, has a special place since the day the vision and the mission of the Garden of Life of this project was shared, which is of course making a positive change to communities, to humanity, and the future generation. How we like to see it, and Ronnie covered that, it's from the community to the community. And it's very unique to find projects like this that's available in this world. So people might not be aware of this. However, the Garden of Life is a golden spiral of this era. If we take a step back and, what does that mean? People will get lost. So across different cultures, what does the spiral symbolize? It symbolizes balance, growth, expansion, change, evolution, union, development, and constant movement towards infinity. So as Ronnie mentioned, it's the Garden of Life is the first project of all 5 projects. And why in Dubai? And why did we call it the Seed of Life in Dubai? Because it starts in Dubai and will be constructed and developed in all other countries. And there's a quote I'd like to share. And this is what I've been inspired of, from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. We are building a new reality for our people, a new future for our children, and a new model of development. So the balance we have in Dubai between social development and leadership vision will harness the seed in the project, which will give like a solid foundation for it to grow into a beautiful flower, which is the flower of life, which is called in Bali. Dubai, the seed of life, and in Bali, the flower of life. Right. And in Dubai, we will bring, of course, why the seed of life. We're building and creating the world's grandest energy innovations to life in the largest educational park in the world. And people also focus in that sense and say, why choose alternative energy for the seed of life, Dubai? So it's such a simple answer. Energy is essential to life. The UAE itself was built in 50 years. And now is one of the most developed and wealthiest cities in the world. So in 50 years, how did this happen? We accepted different cultures, ethnicities, traditions, and religions. That's why we built the UAE together. With the energy of people uniting, we made, let's say, the mirage come true. So making a positive impact in this world should start by diversifying our energy production. Giving you a few examples of that, Leander. It's why are we focusing on energy and alternative energy in the Seed of Life Dubai? It will, of course, improve global health will improve. Fewer floods and droughts will occur. Renewable energy is, of course, far better for the environment. In 2019, I think itself, electricity generated from wind turbines managed to avoid an estimated 42 million cars worth of CO2 emissions, according to the WHO.
Right.
So that's why it's in Dubai.
No, and I think it is so important to mention that one of the biggest focuses will be the renewable energy landscape, let's say, and that it will be also a place, right, that will empower younger generations to learn, but also innovate in the sector, and creating almost a wave of impact by empowering a new generation of entrepreneurs in this field in order to spread out all over the world in implementing these type of needed solutions that are so urgent, right? Now, are there other focuses or especially let's say initiatives and beliefs by the Garden of Life Dubai that we have not mentioned yet and should be mentioned?
Of course. So you have the Garden of Life. It's going to support education, innovation, participation, and representation. That's the most important thing. It will be, I could go on with the list, but I'd like to highlight the priority of Garden of Life Dubai. It will be the center of knowledge for alternative energies. And of course, the development focusing on education and awareness. It's going to be a hub of exchange, showcasing thought leaders all over the world who will share knowledge and build global interdependencies by involving everyone. Platform for research that supports scientific inquiry and studies for renewable energy. And of course, the main aspect of that is we are going to showcase the largest global showroom for handpicked companies and technology that will lead the way into sustainable future, from geothermal to hydrogen to solar to wind. Based on international corporations, we're going to have R&D departments based here in Dubai, creating job opportunities for the youth and to be part of them. And the main topic, of course, it's, we're proud to be an all-woman executive team, and we support each other in that. So we really support the women. And of course, as you guys, as 25100 know that already by now, we support the youth, and you've worked with us from the beginning, between the ages of 10 years old to, I will not even target what age it is. However, we are here to support you, and of course, to give a chance for the society and for communities and for individuals to contribute to the energy solution in the UAE and worldwide.
Right, right. So what I'm getting from this, and this is also something that 25100, my company, actually stands for, which is an intergenerational approach, right? Which you guys are also adapting in the sense, and bringing in different stakeholders from young to old, from experienced and non so experienced, I think is the key in creating something valuable in the long run. So thank you so much for giving a little bit of insights into the Garden of Life. And now one of the next touch points is something that you, Ronnie, have actually also mentioned in the very beginning, right? That there's something like cryptocurrencies that are going to be used within the actual space. Mohammed, though, how did you learn about the Garden of Life, and what do you think about the idea of introducing a token system in a place like this?
Basically, we actually were among the agencies that actually pitched for the digital production and the social media services for the Garden of Life. And that's how I first heard about it. It was like even before the actual launch, like the early stages. And honestly, from day one, I mean, the team fell in love with the project. Because you're talking about a project that embraces innovation, education, research, all really at once. As Marwa said, the list goes on and on and on. And the nicest part about it is that it's here to really leave an impact on the community. And by community, we're talking about young generation, the young entrepreneurs, and women. And women is a very big one here, especially in this part of the world, because they've been through a lot, in terms of the way that I mean, the whole man versus woman and stuff like that. So any project that's really, it's all about women empowerment, we're pretty much all in. And Gold is a woman-led entity by itself. It empowers women at literally every single term. So it's a beautiful concept that's actually become a reality, and it's the best place to actually be if you want to make an impact on the community. And what best approach would be being all futuristic, and the use of crypto and use of tokens. So actually, you yourself right now, you just go and purchase a couple of tokens and actually be part of that actual growth and support the whole project. And that's kind of what's my take about the Garden of Life Dubai.
That's wonderful. And I mean, I know that you are also involved in designing a little bit internally a few things, how they're going to work out. Is there anything that you can already share about what you have been involved in the Garden of Life, next to WIC being also the partner for social media and engagement to the outside?
Definitely. So we were among the ones that actually build the whole creative aspect of their social media, the use of words, the content that's actually you see publicly. When I say we, I'm talking we, us, and the Garden of Life, because that's how I like to use it. I don't like the whole agency-client relationship. It's like a partner approach.
Right.
So we worked on the social media, we worked on the landing page, we worked on the ability for you to actually purchase part of the actual big dome that's actually being built physically through an NFT. So we were there from the initial journey, and right now we've even launched a NFT Gold Pass, which is pretty much going to give you access to whatever Garden of Life Dubai is building in the Metaverse, whether it's virtual and whatever partnerships and on-ground activities they're doing with the supporters. By holding this NFT gives you access to so much utility, and not alone the utility that you get in return, but the impact that you're actually bringing on the table. So it's a really emotional type of project, because it's not just those type of projects where I want to actually just trade and make money out of the token or the NFT. It's like really, you want to really have an impact in society, in the world, starting from Dubai, but it's actually going to go across different regions as per what Ronnie mentioned. And it is one of the what we call in the NFT world, or the Web3 world, an IRL project in real life initiative, and that's kind of how we're really happy and proud to actually be part of this whole journey.
All right, wonderful, thank you. I mean, now you mentioned the physical actual buildup of the campus in Dubai, but as we've also mentioned many times now, there's the plan to build this whole thing in the metaverse. And Misha, right, I believe that this is something that you are, of course, most involved in, and a lot of people as said, now understand it hopefully better, because you've explained already in the beginning a little bit about it. But how do you even start, designing something like this? How do you approach a new project that wants to be built in the metaverse, and what will be the first steps in doing so, especially when it comes to the Garden of Life?
Isha is mute again.
Yes.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah, okay, I'm here. So it's actually a really interesting question. Okay, so the way we approach it, we start from studying. Okay, for us, it's important to understand what we're actually going to build and what we're going to have, and this is where, like, what I like to say, like, we use the technology to improve, right? So back in the days, like when we, like, human created engine, right? We got cars. So technically, then after cars, we got to the planes, and now we even in space, and we're talking about like moving to the Mars. Like, and nowadays almost nobody even questioning this. Would it even happen, right? Why? Because we started to believe in technology. So when we started to talk with the Garden of Life about converting or creating Garden of Life in a metaverse and actually build Garden of Life metaverse, we started really to think about what technology that currently available inside metaverses can do for Garden of Life. So it's not about even things like what the entire Garden of Life mentioned up until now, like giving back to community, where it's more about what technology can advance and can help to deliver to community, right? And like the metaverse idea was from day one discussed from the angle of what could be done now, what can be improved, what can we do in the virtual world that we are unable to do yet from technology perspective, and even in the physical world. Because guys, like, let's imagine, like, inside virtual world, we have no limitations, we have no gravity, we have no limitations from a physics perspective, right? So it's actually endless possibilities, and the only limit inside the metaverse, it's our imagination, right? So we started to discuss this from that angle, and we started to think about what could be done there and in what time frames, right? Because if you'll take a look on building physical dome of Garden of Life, it will take time, okay? Even just from the perspective of approaching this from construction point of view, right? In the metaverse, we can shrink the time frame to, like, from now up until it will be available to masses, to communities. Are we talking about the differences in time, like probably years, right? So, and this is how all the discussion and initiative started. And then we started to think about, okay, what can we do inside the metaverse from perspective of, again, like giving something that will be available today, not in 1 year, not in 2 years, and will be available even from the angle that we can do this in metaverse easier and faster rather than in the physical world. And some of the activities probably wouldn't be even possible to do in the physical world. So this is why we started to entire discussion about metaverse and how we started to design it. So when we got all those ideas, right, together, when we really nailed it down, then we started to really architect and think about, okay, what will be actually the first MVP of the metaverse? Like, I mean the Garden of Life metaverse. So we always start like from studying first of the desire, what we want to deliver, and then we think about, okay, how it could be done from a technical point of view.
All right. So, I mean, in the end of the day, for someone who doesn't know anything about this, do I imagine that you guys sit down with a bunch of coders and then you start writing a code, and then at some points it pops up, or how does that process look like?
Actually, from the code perspective, it's the last piece. Okay, so you are not building bricks, okay, before you building the architecture of the future building, right? So we start with, I call it exercise of the imagination. We started with this, and actually the way we started to design Garden of Life Metaverse, we started to do this on the whiteboard. Literally bunch of discussions and whiteboard sessions just to see what we want to have inside this metaverse, how it's gonna work, what value we like, what utilities. We love this word, utilities, in the metaverse and NFTs. What utilities people will get, like community will get, when they will be inside the metaverse. So it was a lot of discussions about that before writing even one line of code. Okay, so this is always how we start. Okay, and when we have the full vision about metaverse, about this virtual reality, if you will, then we're starting to really working on a code and designs and everything around that. So it's kind of the last piece.
Got you. I mean, thank you so much for giving that insight, because I'm also learning so much about this right now, and this is really exciting. Just as a quick interruption, I do see the chat box of going off with already questions and things, and we're very happy about this. We do have an open Q&A session at the end of this, okay? And we did start a little late, so therefore we will go a little bit over time, and I hope that everyone still has time for this, but we're getting into some really exciting things now, also establishing this global movement of the Garden of Life, but then also how you can be part of this, especially, right? And I did see this is actually one of the questions, so we are most likely going to answer already anyways these type of questions along the way now. So now let's go into a little bit the interconnection that is being created by the Garden of Life, and how the technology and the community and the especially the innovation will change the future, right? And Mohammed, people usually, and you actually did touch on this at the very beginning, right? People usually associate NFTs with something that you buy and then you sell the next day and you're like a millionaire. Or that is sometimes also seen with cryptocurrency the same way, right? But how do I know if an NFT is valuable or not, and what is the secret ingredients, or is that just by luck? How does this look like?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. All right. So basically, in terms of the again, it goes back to the misconception, in my opinion, of the whole NFT and its usage. You know, in terms of ways that people actually dive into the NFT space. So for me, there's three types of people. You have the likes of people that appreciate art. They like to collect art. They appreciate the effort of the artist. They want to support the artist, and in return, they buy his NFT, because that's now possible. You know, it's again, the NFT explosion actually increase a lot of revenue, potential revenue for digital artists. So that's one type of user where they actually have a passion for art, and they collect different items and they keep holding it. You know, they're not interested in making money out of it. Maybe at a later stage, the value might increase. They might end up selling it. The second type of the second person that would venture the NFT space is the one that would actually want to make money out of it, quick money. You know, they actually buy, they monitor their space, and they actually resell it, because NFTs allow you to actually trade and resell a particular token or an NFT. So it's just here, temporary, short run, make money, and that's it. It's like trading, basically. The third one is more the type whereby they understand the project, they understand the people behind it, they understand it's a long-term investment because it will bring them a lot of values in return. Values, which is in the NFT world, it's called utilities. So if I purchase this NFT, what am I going to gain out of it? And there are there's two divisions of that part. There's the emotional type and there's the non-emotional type. By emotional one is basically, I'm not getting anything in return physically or direct, but I'm getting something which is impactful, such as the Garden of Life, as an example. The NFT for the Garden of Life.
Maybe you can actually use the Garden of Life NFT as an example, right?
Exactly. 100%. So I might not get something immediately directly to me in terms of money or return on investment in terms of direct as a utility, but I know that I'm actually contributing to the community and actually contributing to creating an impact to the youth, to the women, and to the other stuff that we've mentioned earlier. And you can have both. So for example, the Garden of Life introduces both. You have utility where all the partners are actually going to sign together and each of their partners is going to give away some utility by holding just this NFT. And the other ones that we're talking about is basically, I know that if I hold this NFT, I'll have directly something impact in the physical space. And one example could be a project that we're working on called the World of Yachts. So the World of Yachts is pretty much a project whereby if you hold this NFT, you get access to the international boat shows directly. You don't have to pay anymore to enter the boat shows if you actually hold this NFT. So you actually save on the long run. So there's many ways on how you would actually make use of the NFT, but I believe the strongest collection or the strongest projects out there are the ones that are directly linked to community and really that impact the ones that actually purchase it. We've seen this. We've seen the past 1 year, 1.5 years, how the ones that have lasted so far are the ones that care about their community, they care about the people, they care about the early adopters in terms of investing with them. And these are the ones where the value is increasing more and more over time.
I mean, when talking about NFTs and now, as you already gave an example on Garden of Life, this question now goes actually to also Ronnie and Marva together. Can anyone, well, how can people participate or get into getting an NFT, or how does can you talk more about the gold tokenomics, let's say, as well, right? Is it exclusive to some certain people, or is it open for anyone? What is the requirements?
Well, as we said earlier, Leander, this is a project that really reaches out to a global community. And when we created the tokenomics, we had the 5 projects in mind. So we've created a number of gold tokens that will be sufficient when sold over the years to basically raise the funds for all 5 projects. And we've priced it at a price of 1 cent per gold token to basically allow anybody in the world, anybody on this planet who wants to support and who wants to join to purchase the token, because a lot of these cryptocurrencies or NFTs are priced at a level where 80% of the global population will not be able to afford them. This one, the gold token, everybody can afford. Everybody can afford 1 cent to support, and then can say, okay, I'm a part of it, and even with 1 cent or $1 or $10, I'm contributing what I can contribute. So tokenomics are there. A certain percentage of the 111,111,111 gold tokens is allocated for Dubai, another percentage to Bali, to the other 3 projects. There is allocations for different things, including marketing, including a treasury. This is all well thought of and well planned. The gold token, as well as the NFTs, as Misha mentioned, not Misha, Mohammed mentioned earlier, we have NFTs basically available for those glass hexagons that form the center of the Garden of Life to Dubai, the seat of life, where 1.1 million hexagons are basically forming the roof, and these hexagons are numbered. And these numbered hexagons then can be purchased in digital form, which will then be sent and displayed in your Ducatus wallet as the hexagon that you own. And we have sold quite a few already. Everybody can go to the website goldxb.com and purchase any amount of tokens, or purchase their lucky number, being it your date of birth, being it a lucky number that you have, or even giving these NFTs as a gift to maybe somebody who has a birthday, or for the birth of a new child. So there's a lot of opportunities of supporting in different ways at different levels, and every support is appreciated and well needed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, because I think this is one of the first steps on how people can also get interactive with the Garden of Life, and you'll be able to find out a lot more, of course, on the Garden of Life Dubai website, where this is very well described, and you can get a very well overview of what the possibilities are on how you can engage, right? Now, because actually you have answered quite a bit of questions right now in your answer, which is great, because we are also looking and trying to respect everyone's time. And thank you for everyone who's sticking with us here right now. We are going to come to a Q&A at the very end. So when you have questions at any time, please write them down in the chat box, and we will filter them out at the very end and hope to get to them. After having talked about the tokenomics and how people can get involved, one of the next things that people will look forward to, of course, is the metaverse and going into it and experiencing it and stuff. Misha, what can we expect to come in the future, and can people see it very soon, or how does this look like?
Definitely people will see it, I would say, relatively soon. Okay, we just working on this, and we want to create the emotions, right? So the way we see it, we will release it to the public access when we will be satisfied that the first reaction going to be wow. Okay, so we don't want to release some sort of mediocre approach, and because like we really want to get this first wow. Okay, don't get me wrong, we are not talking here about like years of development. It's going to be relatively soon. I can, like, based on what I see now, I can assure everyone that we will see it this year, and like probably much before the end of this year. Let's put it this way. And I still want to keep this a little bit kind of surprising element.
Of course. I'm just trying to test you, and see how proof you are. All right, wonderful. Of course, we understand this is, of course, a bigger thing, and it needs a lot of thinking through, and there's a lot of things that have to be managed. So I know it's a huge task to do and pull such a project off, and I'm so impressed. I do, and I'm very sorry. I just quickly want to move back, because I do remember Marva telling me something about the tokenomics, and especially about the number one. And maybe you can just we can quickly come back to that, and then we move on.
Sure, Leander. So, I support Ronnie in all of this, and this is why we want to create the first educational park as Garden of Life here in Dubai. And I want you to, everyone in the audience, to highlight the number one in every number I will mention right now. So as Ronnie mentioned, it's 111 billion, 111 million, and 111,000, 111 tokens that are available, that we literally sold right now. 30 million, approximately 30 million tokens, and 0.001 cent to every individual, from kids to teenagers to corporate organization. 1 million, and 1.1 NFTs, hexagon, that you own a hexagon, which we are following the structure of the numbers. We have 1 to 1.1 million numbers listed, and it's $111, let's say. You can gift it to someone, but imagine you walking into the physical educational park and you own number 126, let's say. You can see it lighting up right in front of you in the physical park, that of course as an NFT you can resell it later on. And something else, we have 111 columns, which are pillars. We just chose 111 corporate organizations to showcase their materials. For example, different companies that are focusing on their SDG goals, focusing on their corporate responsibility goals, and they need to do how we go through our KYC. They also need to go through that and prove to us, why are you one of that 111 individual corporates that will be associated with this column or pillar in the metaverse and in the physical world. So as we state, and as the leadership states here, we don't say number one for no reason. We started internally and building it up from technical to commercial to all the others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for sharing this. And as you're on right now, Marva, I'd love to hear, because one of the target groups at Garden of Life is, of course, also a lot of young people. Is there a specific message or something that you would like to say to the younger audience watching us right now, or later on when they see this?
Of course, yeah, I'll be very direct, Leander, and direct by saying, do not stop believing. Don't stop believing that you as an individual, wherever you are and whatever circumstances you're through, you can be a change maker. Because anyone can make a difference. And if we want to make a difference, we should stand together. So we constantly need to echo our voices and remember we're in this together. And going to question the previous question you asked me, why in Dubai, right? So here in Dubai, the UAE leadership are supporting the youth, and you can see all the campaigns, you can see all the initiative that's been happening with the youth, and they're believing in your dreams. They're giving us a channel to echo our voices. So if in that case, it is the city making your voice heard and your passion seen. And this is what I've seen, and this is, I think, what everyone on this panel, on close friends, families have seen. Coming to Dubai, your passion is seen, and what you want to become, it will happen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And yeah, I can, I have visited you guys in Dubai, and I think, yeah, there's not many limits, right, of what you can achieve, especially in the innovation sector. So that is amazing. As the last question of today, before we go into a smaller Q&A session with the audience, Ronnie, what can we expect in the coming month of the Garden of Life? What are some things that we can really look forward to and be excited about?
Good question. Look, we're working on so many aspects of development and the project, and as you said, it's not something small that you plan and to realize in a matter of weeks. This is really a very large undertaking. We are in negotiations and discussions with some very important potential strategic partners. Actually, the interesting part is that even though we get a lot of interest for the Garden of Life Dubai, the global concept, the global movement, if I may say so, is of very much interest to these groups and people as well. So we are discussing partnerships. We hope that we will be able to finalize and close some of those in the next, say, 4 to 8 weeks. And obviously, once we do, we will be very proudly and gladly sharing those to our growing community. In the meantime, we are working on the realization of the Garden of Life, of its first phase in the Metaverse before the end of the year. All depending on how the sales activities and the marketing goes. Obviously, we hope that we are able to push cooperations with our strategic partners when it comes to the utility of the gold pass, of the NFTs, lots of things to look forward to. We are constantly developing, constantly also looking for new ideas to make this project even more interesting, if that is remotely possible. But I think following us on our social media channels and getting engaged in whatever way you feel like, or whatever way you want, I think is a very good idea, because you're going to be part of something that will have a really big impact on a lot of people in this world.
Thank you so much. And I think we all can't wait and hopefully also be part of it. So thank you so much. And this was one of the final questions that I had for you guys. And now I'd love to open it up. I know we have shrunk a little bit in number, but this is due to people leaving, and people actually have asked if this is also available later on in recording. And yes, it will. So we will hopefully catch up with these people who's left due to reasons later on. So if you guys have any new questions, please go ahead and put them in. Otherwise, I will quickly go through the chat box and see what we have here. Give me 1 minute. So as you, the link to the website of the Garden of Life Dubai has been shared. Otherwise, it's very easy to find nowadays online if you just look up at the Garden of Life. This has been also answered. That is very good. Here, there is a new, actually a new question. Can you identify the components of the modern metaverse environment from Humet? If you feel this question is directed at you, please go ahead and answer it. You should be also able to see it in the actual chat box, but I can read it one more time. Can you identify the components of the modern metaverse environments? I believe this might
I think it's probably to me.
yes,
And
exactly.
so I will step in, and again, I would say that the only metaverse that's gonna survive, it's gonna be a metaverse that has one most important component: human interaction. Okay, if we're talking about some sort of metaverses that only built for the purpose of selling something, I do believe that those metaverses gonna die, and they're gonna die even before they will be really taking off. The most important component for every metaverse nowadays, it's human interaction and ability to communicate and ability to get some sort of experience being inside metaverse. Otherwise, this metaverse technically gonna be useless. And one of the reasons why I stepped in like in a full capacity and in this project is to bring something inside the metaverse that brings value to other people, and something that will allow them to interact. Even is going to be something that will help use entrepreneurs to build some innovations, or if it's for some purposes of education or anything. So it's all about experience. So if the metaverse will have this, and then it will survive and it will grow. So this is the most important component. It's not the technology, it's the mindset of crafting it and actually cultivating this mindset inside the metaverse. Communication, community, interaction, and experience. This is the most important component, in my opinion.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I think, when it comes especially to supporting young entrepreneurs or younger generations to innovate and find out new things, right? One of the things actually is relating to how open and how safe also the environment at the Garden of Life Dubai will be in order to explore newer technologies in the energy sector. As we all know that the energy sector is also a place and an industry that is heavily controlled and also regulated. And also, let's say, decisions are being made by big players who are running the businesses. Maybe Marva or Ronnie, you could give a comment on this.
Look, we would, love to have all the latest innovative kind of technologies present in the Garden of Life, because we want to be future oriented, and bringing tokens, bringing blockchain, all of this into the game. Our main focus, on the commercial side, must be to be a successful sales and marketing company in a way to get these tokens viral, to get it sold across the communities, because if we do, then we will be financially independent to decide on our own what kind of technologies we want to feature. We do not need to bend to the will of some big corporations or whatever. And that is exactly the goal, to create a project that lives and develops with its own and within its own framework, and not being pushed by different kind of directions or trends, which are still driven by traditional aspects. So I think it is a project that is very future oriented. It's a project that wants to combine a lot of experiences of the past, but also the vision of the future. And for that, we need to be able to be financially free in making our own decisions. And if we are managing this through a traditional, a hybrid, or a very modern way of financing. That will be seen. We are working on multiple ways of doing so, but the more successful we are to break ourselves free from the traditional way of financing and the influence of the big corporation, the more we will be able to bring in free spirits and free thinkers that hopefully will introduce very soon new ways of alternative energies, being it hydrogen solutions, a project, for example, that we could be involved in the very near future, which is also developing here out of Dubai. I don't want to say too much, but it's very interesting. It's very exciting, and there's probably going to be much more to come in the next couple of months and years.
Perfect, Ronnie. Ronnie, if I can add onto that in regards of the question, Jared. So, anyone can be part of Garden of Life, and especially individuals who would want to step into the digital world, right? And everyone is in fear for a new change and is in fear of a new step to go ahead. However, with us in Garden of Life, what do? We will support you in that way, where any businesses, when it comes from educational workshops, when it comes to retail, we will support you in the way to have an appearance in the digital world with no cost at all. And this is one thing I even mentioned prior. What's wrong with people accepting the metaverse? It's not what's wrong with people accepting the metaverse or accepting the digital world. It's how the clients, or how are you approaching the clients? If you monetize the whole aspect, how can you gain trust, right? With us, there is no cost for that, for you to be a partner in Garden of Life and to even services as individuals. We will give you a channel to echo your voice, to sell your products in our metaverse, we will support you in that. And this is what we're trying to achieve, is to create a community that trust is beyond anything else. If we will support you, it means, we will confirm that you will reach the audience you want. And I think it's important to remove the monetization. Nowadays, a lot of people, when it comes to projects like ours, and I do not define Garden of Life as a crypto project, just to highlight that. It's a knowledge bridge. It is a culture bridge. It is, a place to create opportunities. The tools we use, of course, we need to find the right balance. If you remember my conversation at the beginning, it's between social impact and your personal motives as an individual. Will help you and support you to get that balance. So just come to us, and we have an open channel. We are there and we'll support you, whether it's your service oriented or your product oriented. We're here to support you all.
Marva, let me quickly jump in, because actually there's one, we're going to ask two more questions, and one of them being is that as a business or as a corporation, how can corporations engage with you? And this is actually directed at you.
Of course. So any corporations, whether it's educational, whether it's service oriented, we are a flexible platform. So we work with you in coming up with the conclusion where, we're here to support you, you're here to support us also. So we come into a conclusion and build a whole, basically a whole solution together. So that's why in regards of Garden of Life, there is no direct, we have a client or we have a partner, but we like to consider you not a client. We like to consider you as a partner, and that's important.
Right. Wonderful.
So if you're an educational institute that would like to, we will give you, of course, a free space in our metaverse to gain more of the audience you want and more of the students you want. We will, you want to monetize that, we will help you do that. But in the end of the day, there always should be an aspect and an angle. And just to highlight something, Leander, in regards of what we do. For example, our NFTs, right, that we mentioned prior. Our NFTs, solar cells, which we sell for $111, highlighting number one and everything, it comes up to about $150 million. This goes to reinvest in the community. The Garden of Life does not take not even 1 cent of that. And people need to understand that we either give it to beneficiaries, which are individuals like Dubai Cares, you know, going through their KYC, but we need to believe in our mission and value and give it back to the community.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And one of the other questions was actually that people love this interaction and getting to know also the people behind this amazing project, right? And being able to listen to you. Are we going to do this anytime soon again and keeping the community in the loop, or how do we see this coming along?
Question goes to who, Leander?
I think you've just asked yourself a question, Leander, because you are the host, you are the initiator.
Right.
So
well,
you better tell us.
Well, guys, I've been enjoying this so much, and thank you for all being here. And it was a pleasure to be
Leander
host. And I would love to do this again and keep everyone in the loop. I'm a big believer in keeping the community engaged and learn, participate, and always co-create. So I'm definitely on board and would love to do this sometime soon again.
Perfect. Leander, if I can just jump in quick.
Yes.
So for example, if in reference to what we do, people can jump into our podcast and see our, you know, our partners that's involved and see their aspect and angle, you know. It's not about what we say right now, it's about, and I don't believe in saying, okay, you know, I can do this or I can do that. It's what people say about you, and that's important. So we'll share the link of our podcast, and the audience can go on board and see what people think of the project and what partners are doing, because they need, of course, to benefit too, you know, and this is our main platform.
100%. All right, thank you so much. And you know what the funny part is? The viewers are actually growing again, which is actually great to see.
Also, the Arabs coming in now.
Yes, exactly. Wonderful. So actually, as the last step, for anyone who would like to turn on their camera, as we're doing this as a community event, we have this in recording. So if you would like to, it's completely not mandatory, turn on your camera and give a big wave to everyone as a goodbye.